The blue van. In the aftermath of the Pacific Palisades wildfire of January 2025, a single image sparked an unexpected mystery. A baby blue Volkswagen van sat eerily untouched in the middle of a blackened street, surrounded by the husks of burned-out homes and vehicles. The contrast was so stark that some called it a miracle. Others called it proof of something darker. As photos and videos circulated, theorists latched onto the van's survival as evidence of a growing belief that wildfires, whether in Los Angeles, Maui, or elsewhere, are somehow manipulated and choose what to destroy. And according to this theory, the color blue is spared. This speculation wasn't new. Footage from the Maui fires of 2023 showed blue umbrellas, blue cars, and even a home with a blue roof, erroneously reported to be owned by Oprah Winfrey, left standing while everything around them burned. Theories swirled like the flames. Was blue somehow resistant to fire? Could it be a protective frequency? Some online posts went further, suggesting that lasers or directed energy weapons used blue wavelengths and would avoid objects of the same color. Fire experts quickly debunked the theory. The VW van's survival was no miracle. It was a matter of positioning. Its placement on the street, relative to the wind direction and nearby structures, shielded it from the most intense heat. Firefighters battling the blaze had also played a role, creating breaks that left some objects standing while others were lost. In Maui, many of the supposed untouched blue objects had either been digitally manipulated or selectively cropped from larger scenes of destruction. And while viral posts highlighted blue items that survived, they ignored the countless blue things that didn't. Wildfires are chaotic, shaped by wind, terrain, and fuel sources. The idea that a single color could defy physics is, at best, wishful thinking. In the face of disaster, people search for patterns, even where none exist. And in a landscape of ash and ruin, a lone blue van standing unscathed is an anomaly that feeds our endless need to make sense of the inexplicable. Stockton will burn. The videotape lay discarded on the side of a California highway, wrapped in a crumpled military jacket. A family driving past stopped to pick it up. Curious, they took it home, slid it into their VCR, and pressed play. What they saw was terrifying. Grainy footage showed a house engulfed in flames, smoke curling into the night. A voice whispered over the crackling inferno, quote, "Look at the fire. This is beautiful. Look at it. You see what I can do? This is my domain. My hell." He laughed, his voice rising, quote, "Look at it, Omar. This is what I've been doing while you were on vacation. I said I'd do it." Then came a chilling warning. Stockton will burn. Frightened, the family handed over the tape to authorities. Fire Captain Frank Curry called it the most disturbing thing he'd ever seen. But there was a problem. No one knew where the fire had happened or who the arsonist was. Investigators enhanced the video, hoping to spot a house number or fire department insignia, but found nothing. A return to the tape's discovery site uncovered a wooden pestle used in occult rituals, a ceramic skull, and a single glove. Detectives wondered, was the arsonist part of a cult? Who was Omar? A year later, Unsolved Mysteries aired the case. Within minutes, calls flooded in. One caller, Ed Tarantino, recognized the burning house. It stood beside his own home in Redwood City, 60 miles west of Stockton. The arson, investigators learned, had taken place on August 15th, 1988, exactly a year before the tape was found. It wasn't the only one. 10 other homes in Emerald Lake had burned between 1987 and 1989, many under construction. Messages like "No more homes" had been scrawled on walls. A second caller identified Omar, a 17-year-old local. Under questioning, he named the arsonist, John, a 19-year-old from Redwood City. John was obsessed with fire. His home contained knives, animal remains, and a scrapbook of news clippings about the fires. He confessed to setting the fire on the tape and 14 others. Both were tried as juveniles. John was sent to a psychiatric facility, ordered to register as an arsonist until age 30. Omar served time in juvenile hall. No bones. The fire began on Christmas Eve, 1945, in the Sodder family home in Fayetteville, West Virginia. The flames spread fast, consuming the 2-story house within an hour. George and Jenny Sodder escaped with 4 of their 10 children, but 5 others, Maurice, Martha, Louis, Jenny, and Betty, were trapped upstairs. Frantic rescue attempts failed. A ladder that always rested against the house had vanished. The family's phone line had been cut. A nearby water barrel, a last resort, was frozen solid. By dawn, the house was gone. What should have remained, however, was some evidence of the 5 children. But when the embers cooled, no bones were found. Firefighters, delayed for hours in responding, suggested the blaze had destroyed them entirely. Yet Jenny Sodder, unconvinced, conducted her own experiments, burning animal bones in high heat, only to find they never disintegrated completely. Experts confirmed what she suspected. Fire alone would not have erased all traces of her children. Suspicion mounted. A passerby had seen a man stealing the Sodders' ladder before the fire. Another witness claimed to have seen a group of children watching the blaze from a distance. A private investigator hired by the Sodders later discovered that a man who had previously threatened George Sodder over his outspoken criticism of Italian fascism had served on the coroner's jury that ruled the fire an accident. This revelation deepened the family's fears that their children had not perished in the flames, but had instead been kidnapped. Stranger details surfaced. Fayetteville's fire chief, F.J. Morris, told the family he had found a human heart among the ashes and buried it in a metal box. When the box was later exhumed, the heart was revealed to be a piece of beef liver, placed there as part of what authorities called a cruel hoax. Years later, an excavation of the site uncovered bone fragments, but analysis determined they belonged to an adult, not the Sodder children. Investigators speculated that someone had planted them, perhaps to lend credibility to the official explanation. Refusing to give up hope, the Sodders erected a large billboard along Route 16, displaying the faces of their missing children. In 1968, they received a mysterious photograph of a young man resembling their missing son, Louis, postmarked from Kentucky. Scrawled on the back were the words Louis Sodder, along with a few other cryptic words and numbers, which led nowhere. The billboard stood as both a plea for answers and a silent accusation until Jenny Sodder's death in 1989. The house was never rebuilt. Instead, the family converted the land into a memorial garden, a tribute to the 5 children whose fate remains unknown. Decades later, the last surviving Sodder sibling, Sylvia, continued to search for the truth until her death in 2021. The question lingers: did the fire take the children, or were they taken before the flames consumed the house? From Russia with Love. A courier in Warsaw tore open a routine-looking package. Within seconds, a sudden burst of flame erupted, consuming the envelope in white-hot fire. The package had been rigged with an incendiary substance, one that ignited upon exposure to air. It was the first in a string of bizarre attacks that would spread across Poland in 2022, leaving investigators scrambling to identify the sender and their motives. The incendiary packages appeared without warning, mailed to various locations and disguised within everyday items. Some contained magnesium-based compounds, chosen for their high burning temperatures and difficulty to extinguish. Others ignited through friction, ensuring that even a minor movement could trigger combustion. The randomness of the attacks, postal workers, office employees, and unsuspecting civilians, all at risk, spread fear across Poland's shipping networks. Authorities quickly determined that the campaign was a deliberate act of sabotage aimed at disrupting Poland's postal and logistics infrastructure. The timing was suspicious. The first packages arrived just as Russia launched its full-scale invasion of Ukraine. Investigators began exploring the possibility that these attacks were part of a broader strategy, one designed to destabilize Polish logistics, which had become a key transit point for aid flowing into Ukraine. Though no group claimed responsibility, evidence increasingly pointed toward Russia. Intelligence reports suggested that the incendiary packages might have been a trial run for a larger operation. Polish prosecutors, following months of investigation, linked the attacks to Russian operations. Arrests were made, but the full scope of the plot remained unclear. The mystery deepened when, in November 2024, the BBC reported similar packages turning up in Germany and Britain. Prosecutors speculated that these could have been test cases for an even larger scheme, targeting the postal networks of the US and Canada. Russia has denied any involvement, but the incident exposed an unsettling reality. Modern mail systems, built for speed and efficiency, are strikingly ill-equipped to counter targeted sabotage. In an age where warfare extends far beyond battlefields, a simple letter may prove as dangerous as a missile. The ghost fires. The fires began without warning. In Canneto di Caronia, a quiet seaside village in Sicily, televisions exploded, fuse boxes ignited, and unplugged appliances burst into flames. The first reports in 2004 described small, isolated incidents, an air conditioner shorting out here, a car lock malfunctioning there. But soon it became clear that something far stranger was unfolding. Panic spread as the fires escalated. Entire homes burned, forcing the town's mayor to evacuate all 150 residents to the only hotel in town. Power to the area was cut in a desperate attempt to stop the phenomenon, but the fires continued as if they had a life of their own. Investigators arrived, police, firefighters, and even branches of the Italian military. They documented strange lights flashing across the sky and recorded unusually high levels of electromagnetic activity. Despite these findings, no clear cause emerged. Fear and unusual theories grew. Some spoke about ghosts, others blamed demons or extraterrestrial interference. Scientists struggled to explain how electrical fires could spark in homes that had been completely disconnected from the grid. Yet after months of chaos, the fires suddenly stopped. No culprit was ever found, no definitive explanation given. Canneto di Caronia returned to uneasy normalcy, with only the scorched remains of homes and the lingering scent of burnt wiring as reminders of the strange events. For nearly a decade, the mystery remained unsolved, until 2014, when the fires inexplicably reignited. This time, the Italian military was prepared. Hidden cameras captured footage of a man lurking near multiple fire sites. Investigators traced more than 40 incidents to one suspect, Antonio Pizzino. His father, Giuseppe, was also implicated. Authorities concluded that the fires had been deliberately set, their origins not paranormal, but criminal. But even with the suspect identified, doubts remain. If arson was the cause, why did the fires defy logical explanation for so long? And how was the arsonist not discovered during the initial wave of fires, despite investigations and heavy surveillance by multiple authorities? Many still believe that something beyond human deception was at work in Canneto di Caronia. Whether the case is truly solved, or whether the mystery is simply waiting to reignite, remains an open question. Which of these fire-related mysteries do you think remains truly unexplained? Let me know in the comments. As always, thank you for watching Dark 5. Like and subscribe to continue exploring the greatest mysteries of this world and beyond.